Have you ever felt that weird tingling in your fingers and just wondered, what is going on? Well, if so, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to lay out a clinical roadmap for carpal tunnel syndrome, or CTS. We're going to follow the evidence from the very first symptom all the way to relief so you can really understand every single step of this journey. So, let's dive in. You know that pins and needles feeling, the kind that wakes you up in the middle of the night? Or maybe you've noticed it's suddenly a lot harder to open a jar or even just keep a good grip on your phone? Sound familiar? Yep, these are the classic calling cards of carpal tunnel syndrome. And hey, if you're experiencing this, you are definitely not alone. The really good news is there's a clear, clinically proven process for getting from that initial symptom to actual relief. And that's the path we're going to follow right now, step by step. Your journey to figuring this out doesn't start with some complicated, expensive scan. Nope, it all starts with a simple conversation. Because the most important clues, they're hidden right there in your personal story. Think about it. Before any physical tests, a clinician needs to understand the what, the where, the when, and the how of your symptoms. Your answers aren't just little details. They're the most critical pieces of the entire diagnostic puzzle. See, a doctor is looking for a really specific pattern here. For instance, they're going to ask, do the symptoms wake you up at night? That is a huge red flag for CTS. Why? Because when we're still, fluid can build up and increase pressure in the wrist. They'll also ask if you find yourself instinctively shaking your hands to get relief, another classic sign. They want to know what makes it worse, like driving or typing. They're not just making small talk, they're literally searching for the unique fingerprint of this condition in your story. Okay, so once they've got your story down, it's time to look for the physical clues. These are simple, in-office maneuvers, and they're all designed to do one thing: reproduce your symptoms and pinpoint the problem. First up is usually something called the Phelan test. I want you to think of it like gently kinking a garden hose. By holding your wrists in this fully flexed position, you're temporarily squeezing that carpal tunnel. And if doing that brings on those familiar symptoms of tingling or numbness, well, that's a really strong clue for the doctor. Next, the carpal compression test is even more direct. For this one, the clinician uses their thumbs to apply firm, sustained pressure right over the carpal tunnel. The goal is exactly the same. See if compressing that nerve triggers your specific symptoms. And finally, there's the Tinel sign. This one is super simple. It's just a gentle tapping along the path of the median nerve at your wrist. If it's a positive test, you'll feel a little electric zing or a tingling sensation shooting right into your fingers. Now, here's the crucial point. These aren't just random movements they're trying. Clinical guidelines actually give these tests a grade B rating. So what does that even mean? It means there's a solid body of research backing them up as reliable tools. They are proven to work. And this matters because they are simple, totally free ways to get big clues without needing an expensive scan right off the bat. But here's the thing, no single test tells the whole story. Instead, doctors are looking for a cluster of findings. They use a checklist, kind of like this one, combining things from your history, like being over 45 or shaking your hands for relief, with physical science, like the actual shape of your wrist or how you react to a light touch. Every checkmark just adds another layer of certainty to the diagnosis. And this is the magic number. If you meet 3 or more of the criteria from that checklist, the clinical guidelines say there's a very high probability that you have carpal tunnel syndrome. It's just a really powerful way to build diagnostic confidence without immediately jumping to more invasive tests. So, with all this information, your story, the results of the physical test, that checklist, the clinician can now start connecting all the clues to confirm a diagnosis and, just as importantly, figure out the severity. This flowchart really lays out the game plan perfectly. For most people with mild to moderate symptoms, the path forward is clear. Start with non-surgical care. But if there are severe signs, like visible muscle wasting, where the muscle at the base of your thumb actually looks smaller, then a surgical consultation is the next logical step. And if things are still kind of murky, that's when more advanced testing might come into play. Okay, so we've got a diagnosis. Now for the most important part, right? The path to relief. What does the evidence actually say about what works? This slide shows us a clear hierarchy of treatments, and it's all based on evidence. Over on the left, you've got the grade B heavy hitters. These are the things with strong proof, like wrist splinting, sometimes called an orthosis, and simply learning about your condition. Then on the right, with weaker grade C evidence, you have things like heat or stretching. Now, this doesn't mean they don't work, just that they aren't the proven first line of defense. If you remember only one single thing about treatment, please make it this. This is a direct quote from the clinical guidelines. The single best non-surgical tool backed by the strongest evidence is a neutral positioned wrist splint worn at night. So why at night? It's because a lot of us sleep with our wrists all bent up, which puts pressure on that nerve for hours on end. A simple splint just keeps the wrist straight, gives the nerve a much-needed break, and can dramatically reduce those nighttime and morning symptoms. It is, without a doubt, the cornerstone of conservative care. So let's quickly recap our roadmap. It all starts with your story. Your symptoms are the most important clues. It's then confirmed with simple hands-on tests. How severe it is determines your path forward. And for most people, relief begins with one simple, proven strategy, a night splint. Understanding this whole process is so empowering. You know, the goal of this roadmap isn't for you to self-diagnose, but to give you the knowledge to have a smarter, more informed conversation with your doctor, because understanding the path is always the first step to navigating it successfully.